Well, the spring steelhead run is right around the corner, and now is the time to start preparing. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tie the most productive steelhead fly that I've ever used. So the first thing you're going to want is some sort of fly tying kit, and you don't need anything real expensive. This one here goes for, I think, about $40 right now at Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops. These are possible to tie by hand, but it's not easy to do. And then you're just going to need a few basic materials to tie these, nothing fancy. You're going to need some yarn, thread, and some hooks. So for the hooks, I just like to use something like a number 4 nymph hook. A forged hook is usually better for these smaller hooks when you're targeting steelhead because they can put a lot of stress on that hook shank. And if it's just a wire hook that's been bent, it can straighten those out pretty easily. So I'll drop links in the description to all this material, but if you can find some forged hooks, that would be best. Next, you'll need some tying thread. Don't need to be too particular here. Any type of fly tying thread will work here as long as it's a yellowish color. And finally, you're going to need some yarn in 2 different colors. And the first color is called Cherise. It's sort of this pinkish purple color. And the second color you're going to need is called Oregon Cheese. And it's sort of this yellow, flat yellow color. Now I'm going to show you how to tie these up. Before we go on, please remember to hit that like button, ring that bell to be notified of our future videos, and consider subscribing to our channel. These 3 things really help support the channel. Thanks. So the first thing we're going to do is to take the Oregon Cheese yarn and cut 2 pieces about 1.5 inches to 2 inches long. Now, as you get better at this, you can cut these a little bit shorter to eliminate waste. And then we're going to repeat that process with 1 segment of the cerise yarn. So after inserting the hook into the vise, we're just going to wind some of the yellow thread onto the hook. Now we can remove the tag end of the thread. Next, we're going to orient the yarn in the order shown here from top to bottom. And then we're going to lay them in that order on top of the hook shank, centering them where the thread is. Now, pinching them tight to the hook, we're going to begin winding the thread about 4 or 5 times around the center of the yarn. Now we're going to pause here because this next part is the trickiest part and deserves a little special attention. Now that we've wrapped vertically around the center of the 3 pieces of yarn, we're next going to do some horizontal wraps above the hook but below the yarn and cinch onto the wraps that we've already made. It's important here to try to wrap these as tight as you can. Don't want to break the thread, but the tighter you wrap them, the more the yarn will flare, which is what we want. After 4 or 5 tight wraps, we can finish by wrapping a couple times near the head of the hook shank, and we're ready for our whip finish. The whip finishing tool just allows for an easy way to place a half hitch knot in the thread. At this point, you could add a drop or 2 of head cement to the knot to better secure it. Now you can cut the tag end loose and you're ready to finish the fly. Now it's time to make the final cut, which will turn this ball of yarn mess into an egg. The distance between the cut you make and the hook shank will determine the size of the egg. The closer you cut it to the hook, the smaller the egg, and the further away you cut it, the larger the egg. Now you can use your fingers or a pick to tease the yarn out into more of a ball shape. And use a pair of scissors to trim any excess yarn. Once you've trimmed it up nice and neat, your egg fly should look something like this. This egg pattern for steelhead works extremely well, especially during the times of the year when the rivers are full of salmon or steelhead eggs. Typically, this occurs in the spring steelhead run or in the fall salmon run. If you decide to try this pattern, let us know how you did in the comments. And if you have other favorite steelhead flies, let us know what those are as well.